Welcome to Bode's Vancouver real estate market update for November 2022. This video is going to show you what's happening in the Vancouver property market right now. And I'm going to show you where you can find all of the same data for your local community as well as your specific property type, so you can get a really good feel for what your home is worth in today's market. So let's dive in. What's happening in Vancouver? So the first thing we're going to take a look at is the number of new listings, so homes for sale, to come up each month for the last 5 years. And here we're looking at the greater Vancouver area. So you can see what's happened in 2022. And the number of new listings each month has been a little up and down, very much up in the first half of the year, and now in the latter, very much down. So new listings in October were down 13% versus the average of the 4 previous Octobers. So fewer people sale right now. Meanwhile, on the other end of the spectrum, we're looking at sales here. And earlier in the year, again, sales are very strong, but about mid-shifted. And for the last 5 or 6 months, sales have been down now compared to the average of the last 4 years. So at the end of October, sales are down 37% versus the average of the last 4 years. And you can see here, sales have been at their lowest for any of the last 4 years. So a sudden change in the market, obviously interest rates going up, has caused a lot of buyers to think again about potentially how much they can afford and think again about whether to buy at all or not. So sales down pretty significantly. New listings also down, which means the total number of homes for sale, or total inventory, as you can see here, is also down about 14% versus the average of the last 4 years. So slightly fewer homes available for sale right now. But what we've seen is that the months of supply has come back up very quickly. So what does that mean? That means given the number of homes for sale right now, and given how fast homes are selling, how many months would it take to sell through all of those homes? And months of supply is up close to above 5 months right now in Vancouver. You can see earlier in the year it was down at around 2 months. So there's a lot more supply relative to demand in Vancouver right now, which means starting to move into a buyer's market, where it was very much a seller's market earlier in the year. So what does all of that mean for prices? Well, here you can see what's happened to Vancouver property prices for the last 17 years. So pretty consistently, they've gone up and to the right with a few dips. You can see in the last few years, prices have gone up very quickly since the start of the pandemic. But in the last 6 or so months, maybe a little longer, they've been coming back down quite sharply. So the prices were down 0.6% over last month, and they're only up now just over 2% year over year. So a lot of the gains that were made over the last year have now been taken away. So prices still up versus a year ago, but only 2%. Obviously, this differs very much depending on where you're looking at, detached homes or apartments. So you really have to look at your specific neighborhood to find out what's happening for your property. And that's exactly what you can do on bode.ca. So we've got 3 tools that give you a lot of information about what your home is worth. The first one is market data. And that really tells you what's happening in your community. So you can see all of the same supply and demand and price trends that we've been looking at here for the greater Vancouver area, but you can look at your specific neighborhood to see exactly what's happening in your community. The second tool is called sold data, and this is where you can take a look at what any home is sold for in the greater Vancouver area for the last 2 or 3 years. So if you see a sold sign go up and you want to find out how much it's sold for, simply check out our sold data page. And finally, if you want to get a really good feel for what your home's worth in today's market, check out our comparables page. Here you can enter 8 features of your home, and we'll return the most similar active listings as well as the most similar recently sold listings. So that'll tell you what your current competition listed at and what have recently comparable homes sold for. So check all of that out at bode.ca, and make sure you give us a follow if you want to see our market reports in the future. Any questions at all, please feel free to add them in the comments below. Thanks very much.